the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First is to approve our very wonderful minutes that Phyllis did of November 29th. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, that's from Sandy. And a second? Jack? Okay. Are there any additions, changes, corrections? There being none?
No.
Oh, Cheryl, sorry.
I'm wondering if where it says click here, if that could be added, the actual link, in case people are looking at, they're not looking at it on a computer, but they're getting a paper minutes.
Where would they get paper minutes? I guess I just don't understand.
Or they might be downloading the minutes.
So you want like an address, HTTPS?
Right.
Okay.
Instead of versus click here, click
The
here,
embedded
click here.
hyperlink.
I don't know.
Just add
That's
that,
an IT question.
what the link is.
I don't see a problem with that.
No.
And then one more
Yeah.
on, do you want to, everybody approve that and disapprove of it?
Nobody had.
Yeah.
That's a technical glitch that they can put. I mean, if you have paper minutes, you can't click on anything.
Right, so what she's saying is just have in parentheses, have what the actual link would be that they can enter manually if they want to do that.
Okay, that's...
Yeah.
Copy and paste.
And there was something else, Cheryl?
Yeah, on page 5, where it's my comment, it says time, take out time. It should be take our time.
Okay. Makes people dizzy, sorry. Oh no, you can't see it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, take our time in the second to last paragraph. Okay, yep, I see that one. Okay. Is that it?
Yep, that's it for me.
Okay, with those two, the one addition and the correction of out to hour, can we have a vote to approve the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that would be unanimous. I want to make note that Mr. Swayze is not here today. He has 4 conflicts and had a very difficult time choosing which one of the 4. They were all important, so he has an excused absence, and it's unfortunate. The first thing we need to do is hear the school board report, Larry.
Well, essentially, the school board report, as you know, we agreed with the superintendent's budget. We adopted that as our budget and transferring it to you, which I assume you've already got.
Okay.
And other than that, really there isn't much else going on other than procedures and policies.
Yeah, lots of policies.
Oh, God, every time we turn around, there's another policy.
Well, you know, they haven't been reviewed in years and years and years. Yeah, right.
10 to 12 years, some of them have not been reviewed.
Pretty amazing.
Amazing
That
we
policy
haven't ended
committee
up in
is
court.
working hard. And the superintendent with all his administrators. I mean, it's really quite a massive undertaking. Okay, so the budget that the school board is recommending to us is $36,112,427.
Yes, something like that.
Okay. So they made no changes to the superintendent's recommendations. So what I'd like to propose is that we just go around and one by one just make comments as we might have them about where your thinking is on the budget and any issues that you're having. So Larry, will you start?
This is the next item.
The next item is to deliberate on the school budget proposal.
That's what I'm finding out, whether or not you're changing subjects.
No, we're deliberating on it. What I'm
Okay.
suggesting is that we go around and people offer their comments. so that we're in order, and we'll get to you.
No, I'm referring to, as opposed to when we're not commenting on the school board comment issue.
Oh.
What?
Right at the moment, we're under
understand your
school
question.
board report. Are you moving to the next item on the agenda?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, just one second. Andy, did you say what the total number was? It 36,112,427? Is that what I
Yes.
have?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's one I had it written down before, and I want to make sure.
Yeah, okay. So Larry,
Well, essentially, I went through that budget. I found a few things that I was questioning. And I found the answers that I was looking for. If you dig deep enough into that pile of paper, you can find the answers that you are in need of, I think. I also know that a lot of our questions have been answered, and I can't see where we can really, we're below the cost of living. So I'm approving this budget as it stands for this time. I do know another fact that we will keep until later, but
okay.
when that happens, I'll pass it on.
Cheryl, what thoughts have you got?
I think that the budget reasonable and things were justified. I did have being at the school board meeting last night, they did mention, superintendent mentioned that there was a position at the high school. I guess someone's on leave and that they're not going to be replacing that person, and so that was $85,000 that he agreed would be okay to eliminate from the budget.
Can I tell you, the number is actually 91,000. 85 was kind of a round number because it's an average of all the employees, but it's actually 91,000 with the salary plus
This is
the
a
benefits.
decrease?
What?
It's a
Yes.
decrease of the
It
budget?
is, it's a mistake in the budget. The budget's inflated by that amount. That person is not coming in. And that actually was found because of our questions, because it looked like there was a new employee coming in at the high school.
91,000 what?
91,000 even. Okay, yes. Anything else, Joe?
Just that I had looked at the enrollments and the class sizes and saw that there might be some room for reductions in teachers in the Bakey Elementary School.
Jack?
I'd like to go back and look at the athletic department budget. I'm extremely upset that it looks like that, at least on the surface, looks like she put in $10,000 request for hockey again. And I'm not really tickled on bass fishing. I think bass fishing should be a club, kind of like hiking or checkers or chess or one of those things. I just think that, first of all, the $10,000 really disturbs me if that's what it's for. And the bass fishing, I'm not for that either. I think for $5,000, I'm disappointed with that. And I don't know if there's any other monies in the athletic department that I could review. It seems there was quite a few increases in there.
Okay. Okay, so we have right now Bakey staffing from Cheryl, and we have athletics from Jack. Mary?
I think that as a committee, we worked very effectively last year with the school board to arrive at a needs-based budget. I think the yeoman's work, just breaking the ice, was done last year, and we got to a reasonable number for a needs-based budget. It made this year's review that much easier because we were looking at facts, data, and logic. We got the line item detail that we've been asking for a long time. It was provided transparency and clarity and justification. So I personally don't want to do anything that is going to impair education. I know that there is a little bit of wiggle room, there always is. We get, at the end of the year, last year we got $1.5 million back toward the taxpayers. I think in an effort of, goodwill or good faith, if you will, I'd like to believe that this is an actual needs-based budget. I did note the $85,000 to $91,000 for the overstaffing issue. I also referenced $15,000 question mark with new athletic programs especially if it contains things that were turned down 2 years in a row on a warrant article. And I always look at the maintenance budget. There seems to be a lot of possible wiggle room there as far as facilities and maintenance, and I'd like to look a little closer at that. But in the grand scheme of things, if I come up with $100,000 to $125,000 worth of stuff, which is kind of what I summarized, in my personal perspective, that's going to be insignificant in the grand scheme of things. So I personally don't feel that that's something that I would be willing to squawk about. I want to support this budget. I want to support these administrators and these teachers and our students. And I want to have a good faith commitment from them that we're going to continue to work collaboratively and work on some of these big things that we have coming down the pike that will free up some assets to reposition to benefit the education of our students.
I wrote out something because I've had a lot of difficulty about the budget and about the money that's being spent in the district, and so I just wanted to share this. Before I give my ideas for this budget, I want to share some of the agonizing thoughts I've been having about our district, our money, and our results. I want to make some remarks about our schools and future, not as a BudCom member, but as a concerned citizen. We have several big elephants in our district right now. I took on a commitment to look in detail at the budget to see where we are wasting money when I ran for office 4 years ago, and I've reaffirmed that every single working day. Because it's true that we overspend compared to comparably sized K through 12 districts. We have many years of voter upset over budgets believed to be inflated, and the voters have been correct because there has been overspending. If you compare us, as I have, to comparable districts, we overspend by about $1,500 per student. My commitment when I ran for office and when I continued to be here, it was to find out where and why and what I could do to help change that overspending. And that's what we've been working on the last 4 years. There's more to do. Where we are right now is that we've made progress at the high school on spending and on measurable results. Dr. Pam Brown put measurable results in the conversation 3-4 years ago, and we're responsibly measuring them. Thank you, Pam, for that. Instead of mamby-pamby old statements that we used to have that we just want to be the best, we're working specifically on how to help our students be successful. My studies of our budget show me that our spending in the high school is about average right now, after some staffing changes over the past few years. I don't want to tamper with what's going on in the high school at all. I think it could impair what's going on for kids there. We overspend in the lower grades, and the challenge is what to do to fix that. In my opinion, cutting this budget isn't going to fix that. Thanks to the school board ordering the NASDAQ study, we now know exactly where that overspending is. The seminary building, it's been talked about that consumes $90,000 a year, and then it was said $70,000 or $60,000. You know what we found out last night? It's $14,000 a year. That is not the big drain on our system. It's something that should be done because it's a beautiful building, but it's not a big financial drain. The middle school is. I battled a few years ago against a capital improvement program, plan that was adopted by a former school board that called for investment of $3.5 million in that dark and inadequate building. I'm completely in favor of moving the 7th and 8th grade to the high school campus, where I think that they will be in a great environment with modern science labs, good cafeteria, good food, and safety and separation, and a true junior high school experience. And I'm in favor of the 6th grade going to the elementary schools. I would like to see the 6th grade be bused for sports to the high school so that they continue to do that. I've urged this change to happen next year, but it's too soon. It's too quick. I've pushed at the superintendent. He's pushed at other people. He has found it absolutely cannot be done for next year. That's $500,000 to $1 million of money, which frustrates me that we have to ask the taxpayers to fund because we can't get rid of it at this point. The good news is we've identified where it is, and we can do something about it if the voters have determination to do that. I would love to have that pool of money available right now to invest in our district. I can come up with, looking at this thing, I came up with a list of $400,000 that I'd like to spend in addition to what's in here. Can't do it. Can't do it until we have saved some more money and, and it makes sense for the taxpayers. So it's going to take another year. So we come to this budget, and now I'm speaking as a BudCom member. I've examined it thoroughly, and I've come up with net potential reductions of $211,450. It's still an increase of close to $750,000. I believe that our superintendent has proposed a very slim budget. I believe he's working with taxpayers and with parents and with staff and with the children to keep things as close as possible and yet to deliver the best quality of education possible. I do think we can tweak it a little bit without causing any loss to education, as you've said so very succinctly and well. I find it concerning that our special education needs are increasing by so much. And to me, that underscores the need for the early childhood intervention that the superintendent is talking about and wants us to invest in so that we can avoid having to have parents get an IEP for their kids in order to get the help that they should be getting just within the school system. So I'm glad that we've identified solutions. I look forward to our district pulling together to implement them for the best results for the kids and for taxpayer pocketbooks. So I'll be presenting my $211,450 when we get to that point in our conversation. Jim.
Okay, you'll be supplying that. I'm not a stenographer. I did not write all of that down.
I will give you a copy.
Anybody else, if they had prepared statements? Okay, I took the paperwork that we received. That was the MS-27 for fiscal. It's been come in that it's for fiscal year 2018-2019. Quite honestly, I have a strange feeling that this year, with 3 contracts, a budget, maybe a seminary item, I don't think we're going to get anything. So I calculated from this sheet what I believe the default budget is. There wasn't any actual final total because we only received 2 out of 10 pages. My number is way below yours. Mine is an increase over last year's appropriation of $210,000.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Jim.
You're talking about a default budget?
No. Yeah, according to the paperwork we received, last year's appropriation, according to this, this was in response to an email I got the other day asking to be prepared to give input.
This, if I'm correct, this is last year's MS-27, is it not? It's not this year's. It's not for this year. This is not the one that's filled out for submission for the 2019-20 budget. This is for last year's default calculation.
Oh, great.
So there's good reason.
When we were handed this, we were told that this was the paperwork for this year's default budget.
Yeah, I believe not. I believe we were told that it was last year's. I think it was.
It says that it's 2018, 2019, but I thought that this was the prep work for the next cycle.
Got it. So you feel a little blindsided right now.
Well, yeah, because I spent better than an hour working on calculations that are total pig crap.
Let's not use.
Trust me, I am frustrated. Ms. Ostolo, would you like to make a comment?
Do you have anything? Yes, Michelle.
If I could, just wanted to add some clarifying statements that we did distribute the default budget calculation. It is on a form that is clearly identified as a default budget, and that was posted on the website as well. And I do recall Phyllis photocopying the MS-27, and when she was photocopying it, I was concerned that folks might think it was the MS-27 for the FY20 year. So I was careful to point out to her that it was last year's MS-27 when she was photocopying it. So I anticipate that she shared that at the time that she copied it.
2018 right on the top.
Yep.
It says 2018 right on the top.
I realized at the last meeting, I questioned whether or not, and the response was, this is the first 2 pages have been recapped. Or my interpretation of what I was told was that this was the information that would be the first 2 pages of next year based on last year.
The purpose in our having this was simply to look at the broad categories that we're going to be needing to fill in. This was not factual information with numbers for this year. Those are all in this book.
And I'm actually working on compiling the MS-27 for this round of budget, at this point in time, so that I'll be ready when the Budget Committee has adopted their number, then I'll drop that into that document.
I'm not sure which documents we're talking about. I have one here that says MSDSB, and it says 2019 on top. And it says default budget.
That's the default
That's the
budget.
default.
Period July 1st, 2019
Right.
to 20.
Jim was looking
There's
at
the
this.
MS-27 that says handwritten FY 2018-19. So which one are you referring to, Jim?
That one,
This one?
yes.
The 2-pager.
Do you have this one? The one that says 2019? I have it in my book under revenue.
Incomplete.
No, under default budget, in the
Yeah.
tab for
It
default
was
budget.
handed out separately for us to insert in
Yeah.
our books. Was he at the last meeting?
That's the 2019 default budget.
Right, okay.
I put a
Okay.
date
I'll
on it,
look at.
which I really, really think we should put dates on.
Is that the 29th?
When they're handed out. It's very helpful.
Do you have anything further, Jim, or do you want to take a minute and then come back to you?
Yeah, move along.
Okay, Sandy?
Okay.
So, I too feel like this is a fairly true needs-based budget. And I'm very happy about that. I'm really glad that our superintendent has been listening to all the parties in the district, from, the taxpayer to the school board, to the budget committee, to the parents, to, the student rep. And asked his people to, when we look at his proposed budget, to look at what was needed, what was wanted. I think there could be a little more paring down, but we asked them to pare down a lot last year. So it's only fair that we recognize that some of these things that were cut or, put aside temporarily are in the budget for this year. Rightfully so. I do recognize there's a lot of changes down the road. The NASDAQ study has been a huge piece of information for us as to why things are not equal throughout the district with students, with cost per student, and understanding that all the different levels require different things. The high school always costs more. That's the way it works. But I do feel like we're on the right track, learning about what is taking our tax dollars that we are contributing and are not getting student return from that. And I totally can understand why people would want to keep the middle school and have that environment. But we had a test run at having the middle school up here, and it was successful when we were forced into that. And that was done under a pretty quick timeline as well. And so I feel confident that we can I wish we could have an extra $500,000 or $1 million to just give to the superintendent this year by moving the middle school quickly, but I also have to agree that doing things quickly is not always the best. Sometimes when you're forced into it, then you have to make decisions that maybe in retrospect you would have tweaked a little bit. But in this case, I think we have some time to tweak, and we understand, we gotta look at the bigger picture for the middle school, also moving the 6th grade to the elementaries. And I'm really interested to hear about Cheryl's research on the Bakey teachers, because we did do staff reductions last year. I know the superintendent has looked thoroughly at that. And so I think that's, something for us to look at. The excess spending per student, I still hope we're going to be looking into that further, particularly with moving the 6th grade to the elementaries, if that is the case. And we're figuring out that whatever the dollar amount, again, I know I've looked at studies and I've looked at the DOE and everything, but it's an increased amount compared to other districts, and we're still trying to figure out where that money is going. And so I hope we're going to continue trying to figure that out, because if we're going to spend $1,500 more per student or $3,000 or whatever it is, that we are getting this, the money is actually being invested in the students, not in facilities or other things that, we've had capital improvements sort of put by the wayside. So that's another consideration in the big picture that we need to look at. Special ed, there's no question that we need to be servicing and supporting those students as they need to be supported and serviced. And I'm looking even further down the road to 7 years from now when the bond is paid off. And that is going to free up another couple $1 million, which is fantastic. So we need to keep all of that in mind. It is easy to kind of just get hyper-focused, but there was so many years of discontent and default budgets and a lot of contentiousness that I feel like we're coming together and we are working for the right goal, which has always been everybody's goal, with different methods, but listening to each other and trying to accomplish what needs to be done to improve our district and to be fiscally responsible. And I do also the teacher, that was an easy one, obviously, for $91,000. I do want to encourage the school board to use the revolving fund to do the improvements to the auditorium and to fund a person to work in the auditorium, as was listed in here. There's money in that fund. That's why we charge rent. It's been from the very beginning, one of the selling points for this school was, look at this beautiful facility that we can create, and we can even rent it out, which we will get revenue from. So let's use that revenue for the auditorium. I feel like that would be beneficial, and that's something that the school board should consider. And the athletics, I too am just a little bit perplexed by that. I think that we can have clubs. We have a lot of clubs for a lot of different things that we could be asking for tons of money for, that we pay advisors to advise those groups. So I think a warrant article for hockey is, again, should be on the ballot. Let the people speak. And I looked at, $800 for a bassoon and $400 to replace a tuba. New bassoon, replace a tuba. That's going to help kids. That's going to help them in the music department. I think things have changed over the years that parents do not go out and rent. If they want to do music, their student would have to rent equipment. It's a little different these days, where we seem to be providing more equipment. SST is out. I looked at the replacement laptops for the teachers. It's critical that we have not the latest and the greatest, but the good working equipment, the state of the art. We get the Windows 10. We get, what teachers need to be able to teach properly in the classroom. And, I was looking at the fiber cabling. I know the truck's not in there, but there's one thing that I want to add, and that is the AC in room 137. I think that is really important. It's 10 grand, but when it's hot in this building, it's really hot. And we have very limited spaces for meetings that have air conditioning. So
I'd like to make a motion to entertain a budget of $35,900,977.
Repeat that, please.
Huh?
Repeat that, please. Thank you.
$35,900,977. Can we get a second?
35900,977.
Yes.
I didn't know we were moving on to that, making more of budget.
Well, right now, we don't have a motion because it hasn't been seconded. Can we get a second from someone, or is it going to
For
die?
discussion?
Yes,
Second.
thank you. Let me tell you where it comes from. What I did was to make adjustments to the superintendent's proposed budget. I removed $32,044 in athletics, which was the amount of the increase over last year. I feel that that's something that can wait. I do think that more athletic programs are good. It's my understanding that that athletic amount does not include ice hockey.
How can you tell? It's so
You can't
convoluted
tell, but
in
the
the
superintendent-
explanation.
Okay, but the
Says they're going to
superintendent,
say hockey next to it. And
it did in her original thing, and then if you look and you see the reduction that the superintendent did of $15,000 for programs, that was for the ice hockey. He said it's been defeated in warrants. We're not going to do ice hockey unless it passes in a warrant. So that's why he reduced her original request of $30,000 to $15,000, and then the rest was more equipment. And what I looked at is I looked at her budget last year, and she was able to find money within her budget to do some additional investment. So I think that there's room to be able to have the wonderful sports programs that we have for another year without increasing them, and until we can free up some money by doing something about our facilities. So that's one change.
Say that number again?
Yeah,
$32,044.
that's from athletics.
And then the high school staff person for $91,000.
32004 or
044.
044. Thank you.
And then I took out half of the laptops. I thought maybe that could be phased in over 2 years, the $40,000 for the laptops. This is just a proposal for discussion. I took out the truck. I wanted, by the way, Michelle, did you find out if our leases all end up being $1 payout at the end of the lease?
There's one lease, and the answer is yes. And we did respond to that, yes,
Okay, thank
A
you.
$1 buyout at the end of the lease?
at the end of
Okay.
that one lease.
I think that, I don't know, I didn't see a lot of defense that we absolutely have to have a truck. I don't know if there is or not, but it seems to me that it would be appropriate to have it be a warrant article.
That's what I thought, yeah.
So it seemed to me it should come out of the budget. I took out the air conditioning on room 137. I thought that could wait a year. I do think that if we end up moving 7th and 8th grade here, we're going to need to have it. It's something that should be done, but I think it can wait a year.
Excuse me, how much was the truck?
Yeah.
The truck is $18,000. Sorry.
The whole thing is what, 54,000? It's a 3-year lease rate.
3-year lease, so it's $18,000
$18,000
per year. The air conditioning is $10,000. I took that out. I took out the automatic floor polisher for $11,250 and thought that could wait another year. I understand it's near the end of its life, but hopefully that can wait another
How
year.
much was that, Annie? I'm sorry.
$11,250. I took out fiber in the high school closets for $22,000. Again, it would be a good thing to have, but I think it can wait until we free up some money.
What was that, for what, Annie?
$22,000 for the fiber optic cable in the high school closets. I took out line painting for the parking lots for $8,700. Superintendent told me that some parents have said maybe they can do it, by the way. So there might be other options. But then I added in 2 things. I added in books for $20,000, and I added in $18,500 for more NECC courses. One of the things, and Michelle can confirm this is round numbers, but with 37 kids enrolled in the NECC that we're paying for right now, $18,500, they pay tuition. The real cost of the district is only $3,500. So I feel that offering 2 more courses at NECC, as has been described, when I go to the EISA meetings, it's very exciting what they're thinking about doing with all the dual enrollment programs and maybe working towards almost an associate's degree for these kids. And they do pay for it. If it's fully subscribed with 44 kids, it won't cost anything, but we have to pre-fund it. So I put that back in. I thought that the net of about $3,500 was worthwhile. So
What was
that
the one, I'm sorry, Annie, you
Yeah.
said before 22,000?
$22,000 for the fiber optic in the high school closets.
Was there something before the NECC?
Line painting?
Line painting?
The line painting, yeah, the high school, for the parking
8,700.
lot
Yeah.
with the lines and numbers.
8,700,
Yeah,
And 18.5 for NECC courses?
yes, adding in. So the net of all that is $211,450, and that comes to $35,900,977 for a budget proposal. So I know that a few of you had some other thoughts on some other things, so let's kind of discuss these.
And Ms. Collier will supply a copy of that list to be included with the minutes.
Yes, I will. I will.
I was actually wondering if you wouldn't mind running through just the numbers quickly again.
Yes. Athletics, $32,044. High school staff, $91,000. One half of the laptops, $20,000. The truck, $18,000. Is my speed okay?
Yep.
AC in room 137, $10,000. The floor finisher, $11,250. The fiber cabling in the high school closets, $22,000. And the line painting for the parking lots, $8,700. I think it's a little bit higher than that.
Excuse me, Annie.
Yes.
What was the fiber optics for the carpet? What did you say?
It's for the high school closet.
Closet, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they
the
want to have more
cabling.
high-speed cabling.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
In the closet.
What?
The tech closets.
Okay.
That's what it's called, high school closets on the thing. And then adding books for $20,000. And adding NECC for $18,500. So Cheryl, do you want to talk about the Bakey?
Well, I thought since we have a motion on the floor, don't we need to vote on this?
Well, I thought we can, or we can see if we can amend it or, modify it depending on,
Please keep
I'm
them
looking for a
clean because
consensus.
otherwise you're going to have minutes that nobody will like.
What do you mean?
Keep them clean, otherwise you'll have minutes that nobody will like.
Okay. All right. My opinion is that it would be really good before we vote on a proposal to get the input on some of the things that other people raised. Like you had one, it could be that there are pluses or minuses off of this that we can, agree to.
Amend the motion, right?
Amend the motion before we vote on it. So, I don't know, your thoughts, Becky?
I don't understand this process that you make a motion, we're supposed to vote on it
We're
or
just-
not vote on it?
No, I-
Discussion.
We're discussing it and seeing if we
Madam
want to
Chairman.
amend it.
My interpretation,
Discussing for amendment, okay, I will
Annie is
discuss.
putting
for
out
amendment.
$35,900,977 as a starting point
Right.
for budget discussion. She gave her justifications. If you think that there's something more that needs to be added or more that needs to be detracted, those would take place in the form of
Discussion.
amendments.
Well, I want to discuss, to propose or give my information to the committee.
Good.
So that's what, I don't know, do I need to make a motion?
No, we're just discussing this, and if you have something that you want to discuss, and then you may end up wanting to make an amendment.
Listen, my clarification is this, Annie has come up with this, she's come up with a bunch of numbers. We can add to it, delete, remove something if we don't like it. I think it's a good starting point, and I love the idea, we can go from here. I can make a change that I'd like to make right now. I'd like to remove the air conditioner. I think Sandy made a valid point. I think it's much needed.
So you want to put the air conditioning back in?
Pardon me?
You want to put the air conditioning back in?
That is correct. That's just my feeling, but I'm not sure how everybody else feels. That would be my amendment to it.
Okay, so you're proposing that as an amendment to
Right,
the motion?
that is correct.
Okay.
Putting the
So there's an
10,000 back
amendment
in.
right now proposed. Can we have a second?
Second.
Okay. So any discussion on that? Larry?
What is that number?
Just
10,000.
Just a point, I agree with the room needs air conditioning. But the thing I'm wondering about is if we start modifying the building to bring people in from the middle school, and if that room is in there, is that air conditioning going to be a waste of money for that 1 year? It's just a question, I don't know. And
I
It's in
agree.
a central location. It's right down here on the first floor. It's next to the old school board room.
yeah, I know that we go in there for the
And-
negotiation
Right,
meetings, and you're
right.
right.
And so that room would be used, I would imagine, presuming the middle school moves here, for middle school meetings and high school meetings, and it would be available for use,
Well,
which
that's why I'm
would,
wondering if we want to hold off a year on that just for that one reason. You have to come through and recondition, re-air condition or whatever, that whole wing.
it's a good point.
No, I'm just tossing it out because I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's a good point, because we know that it's going to be, for lack of a different word, segregated from the high school students. There will be a bell schedule here and a bell schedule there, and then we will coordinate if, all the activities and lunch and all that kind of stuff. And even though it would be mutually used, would it be beneficial for both? And would they take that space and knock out a wall or something to create space that's needed for the middle school?
That's why I tossed it out. It's just-
Very good point.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Are there any other discussion on this amendment? Okay, so
Vote, are we going to now vote on it?
we're going to vote on the proposed amendment to the motion, the original motion. Okay? So all in favor of a motion to leave in $10,000 for putting in air conditioning in room 137, please say aye. And opposed? Okay, so that's unanimous. All right. Yes, Cheryl.
Okay. I am looking at the October 1st, 2018 enrollments, students per class, per grade. And looking at grade 2 at Bakey School, there's a total of, grade 3 at Bakey School, 41 students. So they will be going to grade 4 next year. And currently, there are 4 teachers, 4 fourth grade teachers. So if you divide 41 students by 4 teachers, that would be 14 students per class for a 4th grade class.
I believe that's
Be 10.
10.25.
Wouldn't it be 10 and a
Oh,
quarter?
yes, okay. So I'm proposing taking 1 teacher and making that 3 teachers, which would bring it up to 14 per class. Which is still a very low and reasonable number of students per
Right.
class.
Do we know that, do they have 4 classes?
Well, that's what it says here.
Yes,
I'm
okay.
assuming this is correct information. It says currently there are 4 4th grade classes at Bakey School.
Are there any other classes, grade levels, that have a higher enrollment, that they're at perhaps 20 in a classroom, where that teacher could be moved into a different grade level? Because that happens sometimes to accommodate enrollment.
No.
Do you have a dollar figure?
I thought an average, if you figure the salary, I don't have an exact because we don't know which person, I mean, it might be, someone might be leaving that position. So I'm saying an average of 70,000, salary plus benefits.
Just so you know, the typical average for a teacher in the district is 85,000, just so you know what it is. But that doesn't mean that, we shouldn't plan on something lower than that, because we don't know what level it would be.
And then that the current fourth grade class is 67. No, that one was. No, that one's okay. 67, then you would have classes of 22 and 23. There are 3 fifth grade classes. So that one would be okay.
Just looking at those numbers and also.
Is there a second?
Cheryl, is that in our budget book or is that in?
No, this is the enrollment document.
I'm trying to think of where I might have filed it.
Well, I had asked for it and then was told it was in the NESDEC study, but the NESDEC doesn't give the October 1st enrollments.
We do have the October 1st enrollment in our drive. Okay. I'm looking at it right now.
Where was I ended up downloading it because I have a real hard time finding where things are in that drive. What was it categorized under?
It's under the planning for fiscal year 1920, current, the folder for, hang on, let me see what it's called exactly. Information prior to fiscal year 1920 is the folder that has all the information that we gathered prior to this. It's pretty simple. There are only four folders in that drive for this
That is
planning
not
year.
the one I was expecting to find. I thought that was information from previous years.
No, it's for the current year and all prior years. All the stuff that we asked about before we got the new budget. And then we got the new budget and we're starting to look at next year. So,
Do you have a second for the motion?
so your motion is to reduce the staffing at Bakey by 1 teacher.
Yes.
At the fourth grade level, correct?
By 1 teacher.
Okay.
And I think that's, looking at these numbers, that's where it could easily go.
And
Classes of 10, making classes of 10, classes of 14, I don't think would depreciate the education there. That's still a very
I'll
low
second that motion.
teacher to student ratio.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Yes, Larry.
Just a point. Did Memorial School have the same classes, or are they larger? I was just wondering if maybe they transferred the teacher over.
Memorial has 33 students in grade 3 this year and 46 in grade 4. So, I'm sorry, 38 in grade 4.
how many teachers then per?
2 teachers, 2 classrooms, 2 teachers.
So Bakey can't have 20 and a half per classroom like they do at Memorial?
In grade 4, let's see, the policy, may I call upon Pam? Is that all right? And see if Pam.
The policy is 25, so grade 4.
At grade 4, it's 25, 4 through 12. So it could be 21. So it could be actually 2 teachers at Bakey. I know that the superintendent almost had to find the money to hire a kindergarten teacher, so maybe it would be more conservative just to say 1.
Well, yes, in ways, of course.
What?
Yes, of course, in ways of enrollment. Historically, we're not increasing in enrollment, but if there is a cusp there in a particular grade level, it does allow some latitude, but
2 teachers might be more latitude than we need, but 1
Yeah.
would be enough, maybe.
Yeah.
Because if you're certified for elementary,
Right.
you can go to different
All the way to eighth grade?
Unlike middle school and high school where you're certified for a particular subject area, like you couldn't switch a math teacher and have them teach in English. Middle and high school.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on that? The motion right now is to take 70,000 off of the superintendent's proposal for staffing change at Bakey. Okay, all in favor? Larry?
I'm going to hold off on that one.
Okay. Okay, so you're abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, thank you.
Then there was in Memorial, grade 4 going to grade 5. So there's currently, or the October 1st, 2018, was 38 students. And they're going into a grade that has 3 teachers.
So that would be one where if they reduce by 1, it would be 19.
At grade
class.
5,
Right.
which is
In grade
again,
5, which
well
is
under
fine.
the 25.
25.
I mean, we don't want to push them to 25, but I think you still have, again, latitude there.
Okay, so your motion is to have a staffing reduction of 70,000 at Memorial?
Or I thought you were doing 85.
What?
Thought we were
The
doing-
average is 85, but her motion was 70.
Oh, got it, thank you.
Excuse,
But if anybody wants to amend that,
Yeah.
I was just,
just a question, should,
Yes.
in that, when we present that, should it say at the 4th grade level, or should it? I'm not, what's everybody feel about that? Just say that, you know.
Based on enrollment,
Based on enrollment.
yes,
Right.
because they can be moved grade level.
I didn't know how specific we should be.
But for our purposes, it's a 4th grade teacher at Bakey and a 5th grade teacher at Memorial.
Yep. Okay, so is there any further comment? All in favor?
Who seconded that?
Nobody. Could somebody second that?
I'll second that.
Okay, Sandy seconded it. So at this point, it's all in favor. Jim, are you in favor? I didn't see a hand, so. Yeah, okay, so 6 in favor, Larry abstaining, or? Yes, abstaining, okay.
Was that 70 as well? Did you say-
70 as well.
Being conservative.
Okay.
Blow your roll.
and then I have one more.
Okay,
Wait a second.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is in regards to Annie's proposal. I would say, I would be, or suggest not adding the 18,500 and the 20,000. The 20,000 for books and the 18,500 for the NECC.
okay, so you would make an amendment to take off those additions of
Yes. So
40,500, okay?
38.5.
yeah.
22, oh, I'm sorry, you're right, I was looking at the 22,000, yeah, 38,500. Okay, is there a second for that? For purposes of discussion, can we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Yes, comments?
I really want the books to be in.
I do too.
But I also want the laptops to be in. I think it would be easier for everybody to have all the computers for, I think that was the high school, wasn't it? High school laptops.
No, it's actually administrative laptops, I believe. It isn't for students, it's for.
Oh, I thought it was for teachers.
It's for teachers.
It's for the teachers.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's for, not high school students, high school teachers.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it would be helpful.
In the budget, it was listed as being administrative laptops.
Well, actually, what we were told, it was for the teachers. Some of the teachers have got computers that are 12 years old. They're way past their lifetime.
So I'm trying to figure out, administrative team or high school teachers?
I thought it said staff.
I'm looking at the budget book to
look it
see
up.
what it says.
Yeah, let's look at it.
You know, I just a comment, the last several companies that I worked for, I did not buy PCs because of the fact that things get outdated so quickly. Everybody was on a 3-year lease. You started work there, you got your PC. In 3 years, you got a new one. They got updated with the latest, but technology and the maintenance and so forth, they found that being able to try to keep these older computers up to date because technology changes just wasn't efficient. I'm not sure. I mean, they worked out great deals with Dell or IBM and so forth, and the leases were, at least for those companies, were efficient. But their biggest saving was in technology of trying to keep those 10, 12-year-old PCs working correctly. No, I don't know. I don't know if it's ever been approached at the school.
Yeah, but they don't have Bob Ficker and his team.
I was just going to say, Newton has has been gradually switching to leasing them. The one thing that I cautioned them about, and I did not support, is the fact that by the end of the 3 years of the lease, you could have bought two laptops. I mean, literally, the price of the lease per year per laptop actually ends up costing more than...
These were substantially sized companies that I worked for, and there was a heck of a savings. That's how they felt, because of the trying to keep those, again, it depends on the environment, how the computers, a lot of scientific work and all that stuff was done at the company. So maybe because of that software and so forth, it was a lot easier to update.
And there are certain departments where I could easily justify in technology, yes, you want the latest and greatest.
Yeah.
However, secretaries don't necessarily need to have.
That is correct. Excel and Microsoft Word or whatever.
Yeah, once they have that.
Yeah.
And one of the problems that I've also noticed, and I think it's endemic in the computer industry, is that you no longer get packages when you buy a computer.
Right,
like Excel or Office. You now have to buy a license annually.
But that's not true anymore, Jim. You can buy one license and have X amount of users.
Exactly.
Right, so it's all shared. It's not loaded up on your PC. It's at the servers, which is another nice thing.
I'm
One server has all that.
I'm looking at the question number 7 answered, and it says the request was for 40 staff laptops.
Yep.
The replace when broken or too slow, access needed applications. Most of our laptops are 5 to 7 years old. Leasing is always an option, but requires a future budget commitment without flexibility of allowing use of the equipment for 1 more year without replacing. Cost of leasing requires a higher cost for the equipment as you're paying interest on the lease. And then also the Windows 10 application, that the software that's on there now is no longer going to be supported.
Right.
And you can't fix it. It's
Okay.
not, you don't have that
so,
option in those older ones.
So anyway,
If we could back up just a little bit, because what we have is we have a motion, we don't have that motion on the floor right now. What we have is we have a motion for...
$38,500. $20,000 is for laptops. What was the other
No,
18,000?
20,000 was
for
books.
Books, 20,000 for books, and NECO, 18,500 for NECO. And I have to say, I mean, Sandy said that she really wants the books. I really want both of these things. I think that they're really important. NECO is almost no cost to the district. And the books are just, I mean, I've listened to the passion about what's going on with kids and books and what how this is being addressed. I don't want to shortchange the kids and the teachers on books. I mean, I want that 20,000 in there.
But there's no guarantee that if you put $38,000, 500, that they're going to do what we want.
No, there is
We have
not.
no authority to tell them where to spend that
No,
money.
but what we do is we shape a budget that provides for these things, and then they decide what they're going to do with it. That's 100% true.
And they might decide to buy the truck.
That's right.
No.
They could.
I really, really think that Tom's priority is the books. So I really think if we put the 20,000 in for books, that there are going to be books. I
That's
think
most of the
school boards-
priorities for most of the members of the board too, is books come first.
And based on listening to the EISA meetings, which I attend as often as I can, the passion for the dual enrollment courses is unbelievable, and what they're looking at and what they're doing, I really believe that if we invest in these things, that's exactly where the money is going to go. So there is a possibility that EISA is looking at to bring more SNHU courses here instead of NECO or in addition to NECO. So they're looking at various configurations. It could be that they'll do it with SNHU courses, which are no cost to the district. And if that's the case, then that $18,500 might get used for something else. That's 100% true.
One point of reference, there is a cost to the district because the district pays for an employee to teach that class.
Okay. But,
So
but they'd be teaching some class.
And other classes.
They'd be teaching some other class if they weren't teaching that one.
Possibly, they might be.
The NECO teachers they travel here and teach here, and we're paying their stipend for teaching.
And one of the things that, they're discussing in the EISA is, which is excellence in student education, or student achievement, right? But one of the things that they're discussing, and Larry, this is your committee. Maybe you should be commenting on this.
No, I'm listening. You're doing a good job.
But one of the things they're talking about is that because we have teachers coming at 7 o'clock in the morning, they may not be the best and highest. So one of the things that they're talking about is a possibility of exporting kids to NECO in the afternoons to take classes. And if they had 4 classes available, that might be something that really happens more. But the other alternative is to have more teachers accredited to teach the SNHU classes. Am I correct about that?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, it's something that's going on.
There's a lot of background research going into this, so that when they do make the decision, the answers are going to be there, and it's going to be a hard, fast rule. And the results that we are seeing as of right now are staggering. We're getting kids that are doing stuff that you would not even believe. 10 years ago, they wouldn't be doing this. 5 years ago, it'd be a dream. They're doing it today. And we're actually setting the bar for the rest of the country. This is something that we all need to remember. We don't want to slow that down. We want to keep that going. And these kids, sit back and think, we can get those to have an associate's degree when they graduate from high school. And this is a possibility.
It is.
It happens all over the country.
It does.
A lot of,
It's been
a lot of
happening
people
for
that I know
decades in
from.
other
They've got a
Hang on,
master's degree
Mary's
by the
talking.
time they
Hang on,
retire.
Sorry, and I interjected on Larry.
Okay,
But
yeah.
They've got a master's degree by the time they finish 4 years of college. Look at what we're doing for our kids. That's the whole thing.
big leg up, big financial.
The parents.
So are there any other comments on this proposed amendment to the motion?
I'll simply put this one out there, and I'm sure it's going to have a negative reaction. I pay taxes to educate a child through high school. I do not pay taxes to have a child have an associate's degree. I'm sorry, but that is above and beyond what I can afford.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, it's lovely. However, when we hear about what our SAT scores are and our math scores in the 11th grade, things like this should be restricted to seniors, I assume, who have acquired all their necessary credits to graduate by the time they're halfway through the year and they're occupying the second half of the year, or they've got a lot of free time because they picked up a lot of credits when they were freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. The idea of expanding so that I have no problem. I do wish that because of certain laws that got changed that you now have to stay in school until your 18th birthday, some of these things may be needed to fill in. But we hear about so many deficits that we have in the education system that I would first want to see those deficits corrected before we start putting money into additional. Lord knows, I spent an awful lot of time in schools after I left Sanborn, but I paid for that myself.
Well, one of the things that's important to realize with NECO specifically, and I assume you're talking about the NECO portion of
Well,
this,
the
of this
NECO
amendment.
and the SNHU courses.
Number one, SNHU doesn't cost us money. It's our teachers get accredited to do that as part of their professional development, and it doesn't cost us anything. Number two, the NECO, the parents pay a tuition to do it, which if it's fully subscribed, if all 44 slots are taken, is actually, I think it's, Michelle, I mean, 44 times 250, how much is that?
Give it out for you.
Figure it out.
I mean, I think it's like 20, I don't know, well, here, I have a calculator. 250 times 44 is 11,000 times 2 is 22,000. We're investing 18,500. If it's fully subscribed, it's actually a profit center. You know, and I mean, this is something which they're encouraging kids to do. And when the kids take a course at NECO, say they take an English class, that's an English credit for graduation. That's what it means by dual enrollment.
Oh,
So-
I understand.
I mean, it's
I
not
was
instead
on the
of.
school board when we adopted dual enrollment.
Okay, so I get your concern about it.
It seems to be, I would rather spend that kind, that money in other areas where we presently see a deficit,
Such as,
such as high school math scores.
okay,
I understand SAT scores are still subpar.
okay.
Question about the NECC.
Yeah,
So what do we pay for the teacher?
we pay 18,500 for 2 courses for 44 kids. And what this proposal is to pay another 18,500 for 2 more courses for 44 kids, so that they could, if it's fully subscribed, we've had up to, 88 courses or classes being taken by kids through NECO. And if it's fully subscribed, then we prepay NECO for this, but we get the money back, and it doesn't cost the district anything.
Money
If it's,
that the kids pay in tuition covers the cost of the teacher?
yeah. Yeah. It's, right now, we have 37 kids enrolled instead of 44. So it's costing us about $3,500 to offer this. To me, that's a good investment. But I understand, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, Sandy?
And they receive credit on a NECO transcript, and they receive credit on a Sanborn transcript. That's the benefit to that.
So are there any further comments, anything new?
I would like to
Yeah.
just throw out there that if we're currently at an enrollment of 37 with a 44 capacity, by giving them the latitude to double that, do you think the interest would be there if we're not fully
Not fully subscribed.
subscribed?
That's something that Mr. Dawson and Heidi have both said, that the interest is there for the kids. I mean, that's why they've asked for it.
What they started off, they was talking about, what was it, a couple of years ago, they had, Pam was there too. They started off with just 10 students, and they're now up to 37, 2 years ago or something? This thing is just leapfrogging
off,
ahead.
Yeah, a year or so ago, it was 22, I know. And,
Yes.
I mean, it's just really very impressive what's going on. To me,
Arithmetically, yeah.
I mean, as far as, the big thing is, we're not talking about SST at all with with that, which, I'd love to do that too, but, yeah, Cheryl?
So if those kids are going to be taking 2 courses from NECC, would it be possible that there would be teachers in the high school that would not be teaching those kids because they wouldn't be available to be taught if they're in these? So
It will change the master schedule. It would change, it would make some changes, but
So could a
juniors,
teacher be eliminated if these NECC kids were going there? But again, we don't know who's going to subscribe, so we could have, sitting here as the budget committee describing this, and this, I just don't think we have enough control over saying that this is what we're putting in here for this purpose, that it's not necessarily going to be used for this purpose. And I think that, again, I think that the budget that they proposed was very reasonable. I think we can make a few cuts, but I cannot see adding into the budget.
Okay.
You know, maybe for the future, but at this point, considering we still have a teacher's contract to pass as well, that I would not support that.
Okay, so at this point, can we have a vote?
Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
I support it. I think that's what we need to do in education today. I think it's I'm not 100% positive what I know everything about it from what you've described and so forth. For the initial cost of $17,000, it's
18.5.
18.5. I think it's a very small amount.
So, yes, Sandra.
I think juniors and seniors are eligible to do this, not just seniors, so that they could take to their junior year and to their senior year. And I think that the way it shakes out, Cheryl, too, is something that we need to be aware of, that it may be removing some students are opting to do that. More students are opting to participate in the dual enrollment and early college opportunity, that it may affect teachers. And that's something we need to keep on our radar for perhaps next year when we look at, ask the school board asking Heidi to report on the participation level. And it's a negligible amount, in my opinion, to keep in the budget for encouragement for higher education.
Okay, what
Adding to
I'd like to call this question.
Yes, to add.
We've been actually discussing two different things. My comments were in reference to the idea of children taking 2 years worth of college credits before they get out of high school. Mm-hmm. That to me is implausible. I have no problem with students picking up some, especially core classes like this. But it's when people start saying, yes, and we could have kids, graduating. When we reach the point where we are offering 18 credits worth of college dual courses, then we need to reconsider our entire philosophy of education. That if we have, if our students are able to handle that level of advanced placement, basically, and we need to go back and look and go, okay, is advanced placement really necessary, or can we do away with advanced placement because we have dual college credits?
It's something that EISA is looking at.
But the problem is when you start funneling a little bit more money and a little bit more money, and it does drive me ballistic when people start saying things like, it'd be really nice. I mean, it'd be lovely. I mean, I got my advanced degree when I was still in my 20s. But for a lot of people out there, it's like, okay, if they can finish in 2 years their entire high school, then they should be allowed to graduate well early and move on to college as it would be appropriate. I have a problem when people start throwing out basic degrees as being a high school, part of high school.
Okay. I'd like us to move this question. At this point, I think we've discussed it. The motion is to amend the budget proposal, the original budget proposal,
to $35,722,000.
removing $38,500 from it. All in favor, please raise your hands.
No, you were adding to it. You weren't removing.
Well, we're removing it. We're adding it to the total number that we're reducing. The superintendent's budget.
I was asking to remove it from her proposal.
So it would increase the proposal of what I had 211,000. If this came out, it'd be about 250,000 off of his original proposal, plus the 140 we already approved. Okay, so
I have no idea what number we're at this point.
It doesn't. I don't think we need the number. What we need to do is stay on the concept. Right now, are we going to?
Right now, it's in.
Right now, it's in, and we have a motion to take it out.
Correct.
And so, do you want to vote on books separately from NECO? It seems to me there are two different issues here.
The motion was
It's for both.
The
We have to
motion
have
is
a
for
new
both.
motion if we want to.
We'd have to have a new motion. I
I
just
would be
wondered.
willing to withdraw and to do them separately.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you want to make a motion to remove the 20,000 in books?
Yes.
Okay, and a second? Seems like the vote would be that we're going to leave the books in if it came to a motion. Okay, so that one's gone. To remove the 18,500, will you make that motion?
Yes.
Okay, and second? 18,500
And
for the NACC?
the assumption that it would be used for the NECC courses.
Right. We have a second? For purposes of discussion, just so we can vote on it? No? Okay, I guess that one's gone too. Okay. Okay. Is there anything else, Cheryl, that you had?
Hang on a second. The hockey, did we decide that?
Right now, the athletics increase is removed in the original motion.
The entire
$32,044 of increase is in that original motion.
And we said hockey was not included in that?
Hockey was not, according to what Mr. Ambrose said, it is not specified in the details in the budget. It was
Actually,
to be determined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, I have an issue with the idea of proposing something that's to be determined.
So we're going to leave that one alone, is what I'm hearing. Laptops is one, Sandy, you wanted to make a motion on?
I would like to make a motion that we add the 20,000 back in so that it can be done for staff. I mean, we went back and it says on page
40,000 for
22 of the proposed budget, it says, here we go, replacement laptops, staff, 40,000. So I would like that to remain at 40,000.
Okay. Can we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Yes, Mary?
I didn't see it as being removed. Is that one of the items?
It was one of the items in my
I was
proposal.
pretty good about writing it down. I didn't get that one.
Yeah,
Going to remove half of it.
All right.
yeah.
Athletics.
Okay, so is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
What are we doing? Putting it back in?
We're putting it back in. So,
Jim, you get
Jim,
all this.
how are you voting?
I'm voting nay.
Okay, so we have 6 in favor and 1 nay. Thank you. The AC in room 137 is one that people were talking about. Is that something that we can leave for another year, or is it something
No,
we
we
need to
voted
add
to
in?
take it.
We already went over
voted to
that.
take
We
it
went
out.
over that one?
And we decided not to.
Not
Not gonna move
to do
forward.
any. That's right, I'm sorry.
Because
I
of the
apologize. You're absolutely
construction,
right.
the
I've
potential
lost it.
construction.
Okay. We have a recommendation to the school board for looking to use the facilities fund for auditorium, for the CIP for auditorium. That's something that's kind of come out, Larry, that, you know. I don't have any other, I mean, if you want to just look at the other items on here, the automated floor finisher that says is near the end of its life, I suggested taking that out for this year. Is that 11,250? Is that, okay, and then the fiber optic cable in the high school closets, 22,000? Yes, Sandy?
I make a motion that that be returned to the budget.
Okay,
The 22?
Which one?
Yes, 22,000 for the
The
fiber optic
technology.
cabling, the
okay.
technology request.
I'll second that so we can discuss it. Again, I'm
22,000.
going to bring up the
Yes.
same thing. We may be in the process of revamping some of these floors, at least 2 floors I've heard. If we start moving optic cables around, that starts to get real expensive real fast. If we're going to start doing these wings, we may be wasting money putting that optic cable in. And I think we should hold on to that until we find out what is actually going to happen. 1 year
Very
shouldn't make
persuasive.
that much difference.
Yeah.
We've lived with it this long.
Yeah.
Another year won't be anything.
It's very
And I'd
persuasive.
hate to sit there and say, okay, fine, we spent $22,000 so we can throw it away next year.
Good point.
Are we, okay, all in favor of adding this back in? Opposed? Okay, that's unanimous, okay. So, and then the line painting is the other item that I had on there for, you know,
Parking lot?
the parking lot.
I'm thinking
Either
Eagle Scout project.
That's a great one.
It is a great one. Benefits the community, is something that we need.
Oh, yeah.
The paint could be donated, you know, probably the equipment rental could be donated.
Bring that up to Mrs. Stack.
Yeah, right?
You're right.
Yeah, hey, we're talking about all kinds of ELOs these days,
You know, there's-
extended learning opportunities, why not?
That's a good one because Troop 90,
EPO, Extended Painting Opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so right now, is this right?
35,780,977.
What do you have?
That's 35,780,977.
Okay, okay. The 211 right now is at 331,450 is the number I have, and let's see, 36,112,427 minus,
I might have missed
What do you have?
something, Annie. I have something a little bit different, so I was wondering if we could just kind of recap again.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay, so
wait a minute, wait.
come up with a new number.
She's got a little Excel sheet going over there. She'll do the math for you if you just confirm the items and the numbers.
I was trying to take notes as you guys were going.
So what was the number that you had, Jim?
35,780,977.
I agree with you. That's the number
Could you
that right now
repeat
we
that
have
again,
as a
please?
proposal.
Three what?
No.
35,780,977. Is that what you had, Michelle?
No, but I must have missed something in your list, so I'll run
Okay.
through quickly. I have your original list. A reduction of 91,000 is a staff cut, 32,044 is athletics. The original list had 20,000 for half of the laptops, a reduction of 10,000 for air conditioning, a reduction of 18,000 for the truck lease, a reduction of 11,250 for the floor scrubber, reduction of 22,000 for fiber cabling, reduction of 8,700 for line painting, an addition of 20,000 in books, an addition of 18,500.
Right.
Am I missing anything?
No, that's the original list. Then on top of that,
So I get a different number. So the original list, I checked it a couple of times, so maybe somebody else could check my math. I have the original list as a reduction of 174,494.
no.
So I must be missing something.
32044 plus 91,000 plus 18,000 plus 10,000 plus 11,250 plus 22,000 plus 8,700.
I think you did.
Plus 20 for the laptops.
Well, but the
Yeah, but
already said that.
This is
We
just the
put 40
original.
back in.
You know what, you're right,
I have
Michelle.
the original.
Okay, because I
number
think
you
what
gave
happened
us.
was the additions might not have been captured in that.
Oh, yeah.
So I have the reductions of 212,994, and then the additions were initially 38,500. So that first number, and that's why I wasn't quite sure if I had captured everything.
No, I think you did, and I think that, I think you found a mistake of mine, so I appreciate it. So
174,494.
Right.
The original is 154,
No, 174.
174, 494?
Right.
Okay.
And
so-
then there was modifying that, a reduction of 70,000 for proposed teacher reduction on the fourth grade at Bakey, 70,000 reduction for proposed teacher reduction in Memorial, fifth grade, and then $20,000 for adding back the laptop amount that was previously cut.
Okay.
So I have the total reduction then now at 294,494, which would result in a budget proposal of 35,817,933.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
We
That
all
is a
agree with that
point-
number?
Yeah.
That is a
35.
0.82% decrease from the board's proposed.
Okay.
It's a what, 0.2%?
Yeah, a 0.82%.
0.82%.
So 0.82.
What was your number?
35,817,933.
Okay, is there any other adjustment that anyone wants to consider? Or is this our proposal to the school board at this point?
Madam
need to vote on
Chairman,
it, but I just want
just
to-
as a point of order, we started off with 35,900,977.
Which was not, I had a mistake in there. It's actually lower than that by about 30,000. So let's start with the first number.
Correct number.
36,112,427 minus 174,494. Is that correct?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yep, yep,
Is 35,937,933.
correct.
So I want to amend that original motion.
Okay, give me that number again.
35,937,933.
Yeah,
933.
And that number is the school board's number?
That's
No.
what,
No, that number is the
Annie.
original
that was
motion.
our number.
The original motion. Now,
Can I have, just for a point of just for clarification, I'm sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
So your changes were on the school board's number, correct?
Yes.
So the starting point would be the 36,112,427?
Right.
yes,
Less the 174?
Right.
494, yes. So I've got 35,
Yep, 35,937,933.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Thank you, I just wanted to make sure I'm following.
35.9.
937,933. And now after the changes that we've made with reduction of 2 staff positions in the elementary and addition of 20,000 in laptops, we're at 35,817,933,
Correct.
Okay.
That's what I have as well.
0.82%.
which is a 0.82% reduction. At this point, I think that
35.
we're ready to vote on, is this our right? Yes,
35,817.
yes, 933.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Okay, so all in favor of forwarding this number, this 35,817,933 to the school board and,
No, to propose.
Proposed.
proposed? What?
We don't propose it, we don't send it to the school board. It's not the school board's number.
No, but we're going to let them know what it is. Larry's going to take it. And, okay, and as of right, I mean, what we have in our process is the school board will then decide how they feel about this number. We may have a joint meeting with them on the 19th and see if we can't reach a consensus so we don't have, so that we're all on the same page. But this is our number right now that we are proposing to take to the public hearing unless we modify it as of the 19th. Right?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Larry's abstaining. He has to wait to see what the school board has to say. Okay. That,
I was in there.
oh, you were a nay? I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize. So it's 6 in favor and 1 nay. Thank you. No, 5 in favor, 1 nay, 1 abstention.
5, 1, and 1.
I appreciate you guys. Okay, so at this point, I believe we're ready for public comment.
Jim Baker Newton. It's a pleasure to watch you folks work. You're diligent and amazingly thorough and detailed. And I don't want to end on a negative, so I'm not going to contrast you to last night's school board meeting. But thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. Great job.
Thank you.
Pam Brown, Newton. So the district anticipates significant savings if the middle school reorganization is finalized, but I still think there are areas for improvement in our budget, and I think it's important to really control our budget growth, especially with the 3 collective bargaining agreements coming up, which should be relatively expensive, and we need those to pass. So I still am concerned, although there have been great adjustments made in the high school schedule, that we still have room for improvement in the high school schedule and staffing. There are some high school electives that are apparently not mission critical to career and college pathway success, and I am concerned that we retain certain electives that currently university transfer institutions are just not valuing. I don't want to name any specific courses, but I don't think history of rock and roll is going to be critical to your MIT admission application, for example. And we have been told by Mr. Turmel that universities are now looking at a subset of courses and customizing their GPA for critical courses they're looking at. And they're also, I don't think, concerned as much about our rather bloated 32-unit diploma option, and many districts do not have 32-unit diplomas. So I'm concerned about continued inefficiencies in the high school schedule. NESDEC recommended that we consider staggering the electives we do offer. I think we should continue electives that are valued by universities, which provide ELO internships and dual enrollment credit, so students are earning high school and college credit. I'm also concerned about the lack of interest in VLAX, generally speaking. We should encourage students to use VLAX on a voluntary basis since it's free of charge. And Mr. Roberto Miller, who was previously on our school board, recommended we use VLAX. I continue to harp on this as a citizen because 50% of our regular and honors high school classes, excluding special ed, are currently available through VLAX, the Virtual Learning Academy Charter School. I teach several online classes a year as a community college professor to both community college and high school students, and the students absolutely love those courses. And I'm a little concerned about the continued Luddite attitude that I see expressed over time at our school board meetings. And I do apologize for micromanaging my list here, but first we're told not to micromanage what's happening in our district, even though we bring expertise to the table. And then when we do present an adjusted budget number, we're told, well, what are your numbers? What are your details? So you really can't win. You micromanage, you're criticized. If you project a number, propose a number, and let the high school administrators manage the details, you're told, well, what are your specifics? Where are you coming up with this number? So again, we're getting whipsawed, and that concerns me. And finally, I do think we should think about decommissioning our 32-unit diploma. It's used by 41% of our graduates, but new readiness criteria is coming out at different conferences, emphasizing, again, a subset of the courses for a successful GPA. And I think we should give our superintendent explicit authority to cancel high school classes which fail to adequately fill. And I'm thinking of a minimum number, which needs to be discussed. In exchange for a lean budget and a carefully managed high school schedule, I think the board should discuss 1 or 2 reserve fund warrant articles, such as an increase in special ed and possibly a small regular education reserve fund in case we have an unanticipated spike in or an influx in elementary students. And just want to note, we shouldn't be a rubber stamp for the administration, and I'm really proud of this group because I think you're doing a great job. Long-term, I'm concerned, this is completely off topic, but related to the budget, the IT budget. I know that the Chromebooks are a temptation because they're so cheap, but they're cheap for a reason, because our students are giving up their privacy. And very concerned about that. Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I ask? Do you have any of those comments in writing?
I do.
Great.
If you want to polish it up a little bit and supply it to me, I will attach it. I am not a stenographer.
Yes.
Hi. I almost hate to comment because when you hear my comment, you're going to know why. You guys do a great job. That part's the easy part. But as a board member, we're in violation of the right to know because there are 4 board members here and we're not at a posted meeting. And for any one of us to speak, we really violate the current right to know laws. There was a Supreme Court case not too long ago that said that if we're going to be together in a room and talk about business, then we have to have it as a posted meeting. We can, going forward, I'm going to ask the superintendent to make sure it gets posted. I did not know that I'd have 2 other colleagues in the audience with me, to be honest with you. I thought I'd come because I'm a new board member now and wanted to see what was going on. And I really do think you did a great job. And I think the issues that you raised are important. And we're not that far apart from the budget proposed by the superintendent. And I see a lot of good collaboration ahead of us. I think that's great. But I just want you to know we have to be very careful in some of these things so that our decisions are not challenged going down the road. Okay? But thank you very much for all your work.
Okay, thank you.
Jim Baker, Newton.
We don't
I'd like
normally allow this, but we'll make an exception for you.
Thank you.
I'd like to go home.
I'd like to follow up on what Ellie
enough.
said.
Just a second,
Had
Cheryl.
enough.
Just a second.
I'd like to follow up on what Ellie said. And when we get elected to a board, we still have the right to speak as individual citizens. We don't give up our First Amendment rights, Ellie.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we give them up.
Right.
Okay.
And we don't discuss things that we make decisions on outside of a notice meeting, but we're allowed to make public comment. Thank you.
Okay. At this point, there is committee comment. Does anybody on the committee have a comment? Yes,
Yes,
Larry.
I would like to say something. I've sat on a lot of budget committees. As Sandra knows, we've been on a couple of them together. I would like to say that this is one of the most comfortable ones I've sat on in a long time.
Gee, Cheryl, we're getting points tonight.
I thank you guys for making it comfortable. I really was kind of iffy about what I wanted to do here tonight. This was great. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
So anybody else have any other comments? Yes.
I concur with that because I feel like we've made huge progress. We've all invested a lot of time into this process and trying to better our district and to improve outcomes for our students by investing in our students and our teachers. And that's always been my goal. And I feel like we're, finally realizing some of that blood, sweat, and tears as volunteers.
Yes, Cheryl.
I would just like to say that what we did here tonight is what we should do. We should justify the decisions that we're making, whether it's up or down in the budget. Previous speaker mentioned changing high school courses and schedules and all that kind of stuff. Very nice. But that's not within the purview of the Budget Committee. That's the school board, and the school board should be communicating that to the superintendent. So that's the body that should be listening to those suggestions. I was a bit disappointed that the school board did not do what we did here tonight, because you can't just come out with a percentage of adding or subtracting to a budget. You have to justify those numbers, whether you make them up or what, that it is required that we justify, because this committee has in the past tried to do that very same thing, saying we feel it shouldn't go up by a certain percentage. But we cannot do that. We need to fill out paperwork to justify what we've made. And it also makes us more thoughtful about what we do and why we propose things, rather than just saying we're going to cut by a certain percentage. So it was a good procedure tonight. I think we came up with a reasonable number, and I hope that the school board will support it.
Hope so too. I'd like to say that just in response to Dr. Brown's comments a little bit, just all my analysis shows that the high school is not the issue as far as our overspending. I'm supportive of what they're doing, and I feel that, if we give them, and we give the school board a number to work with for the high school, that they can put the policies in place that will work the best for the students, and that's what they're elected to do. That's not where our budget issue is. Our budget issue is in having 5 campuses, and that needs to be resolved, and I hope the school board will be very much on top of that, and the budget committee is going to have a real delight in working with freed up money next year. So that being said, is there anything else? May I have a motion to adjourn?
Before you do that, one comment. At the beginning, people made comments if they wish to have more than a one-sentence statement. They may do like Ms. Collier, supply me with an electronic form of their statement regarding the budget deliberation, budget proposal, and I will include them as appendices to the minutes. I will be handing Ms. Collier back her corrected document and saying, I'm not a typist, I'm not a secretary.
I will be happy to email it to you.
Thank you.
If I still have it. I may not have it.
I will not be typing all of that in.
For you. Yep.
Are we meeting next Thursday?
We are not meeting next Thursday.
We're
That's a
not
really
meeting
good
next
point.
Thursday?
We don't need to meet next Thursday. We have a budget proposal. The next step is we may or may not have a joint meeting with the school board, and we need to start to prepare our public hearing. So what I'd like to suggest is that our next meeting be on December 20th, which is a Thursday night, and that I will come up
December 20th,
with initial
that's 2 weeks?
slides and so forth for a presentation for all of you to give input on. Does that work?
Fine.
So December 20th, yes.
Has to be excused from that meeting. I won't be in town, thank you.
It's going to be a long commute from Japan.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
If I need to, I will FaceTime, with it on mute, or you can't hear what's happening there, but I would be willing to do that.
That's fantastic, but you know what? We're going to have another meeting probably in January
Okay.
before the public hearing to go over our final slides. So I don't see a reason for you to have to be here, and I think, your input's always valuable, but I think we'll live.
Good, okay, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, sure.
You said a possible joint meeting with the school board. When would that be?
Actually, it's
When
on
would
our
we
schedule
know
for the
about that?
19th, but the school board is next meeting on the 19th. Is that right?
Yes.
So, I don't know. I'll negotiate that and let you know with Peter, maybe,
But it'll probably be at
hopefully the school
board.
board's going to accept our recommendations and we won't need a joint meeting. I mean,
I'm
that would be ideal.
Trying to plan if we need to be at a meeting for something. When could we?
We had it for the 19th. That is their meeting. Good night, Ellie.
Okay.
Thanks for coming. That was their meeting, but they're not going to be going over this, so I'm not quite
Listed
sure.
on the schedule as a joint meeting, as a possible joint meeting on the 19th.
Right, possible joint meeting.
Yeah, but what we can do is look at, after the 19th, we will, it would have to be the week after Christmas.
Sometime we're going to have one if the numbers are different, I assume.
Yeah.
If
It would
they
have to-
accept us.
It would have to be in January.
At the board meeting, I believe the chair said, if we don't agree, then we'll present our budget and the budget committee will present theirs. Did he not say that?
He did say
He
that.
did, but that's after a joint meeting, to try and see if we can't come up with an
That's
agreement.
after a joint.
Yeah, so let's schedule any possible joint meeting for the first week in January, the first Thursday in January. And
January 3rd, I think.
January 3rd?
I think so.
Okay, let's schedule that.
Is it 3rd or
Third.
4th?
As something just to put on your calendar.
On the
We may or may
third,
not need it. I think we've put forward a very reasonable budget, and I hope that there won't be any issues here, so. Motion
Make a
to
motion
adjourn.
to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor? We are adjourned.
Jim needs
The chair can just declare the meeting adjourned.